Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about Andrew Yang and a new tactical opportunity that Andrew Yang has specifically to forward himself in the polls, to get himself on a lot more news cameras, and to really move his campaign forward because of a point-in-time issue that has recently occurred. All right, so it's a little complex. I appreciate your patience. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. All right. So basically, there's this really amazing point-in-time occurrence that has recently occurred, and that is Russia has built a Russian army base in the Arctic. All right, this Russian army base is called Northern Clover, and it is closer to Alaska than it is to Moscow. All right. Now, this is very problematic because the ownership of the Arctic is one of the most contested. It's one of the most contested piece of land on the planet, right? It actually has 8 owners, right? It has the U.S., Russia, Denmark, Finland, Norway. There's a Greenland's in the mix there. Actually, Greenland goes through Denmark. There's a couple others, right? But there's a significant. And Canada. Canada is one of the owners as well, right? But the idea is that this is supposed to be unspoiled land, and nobody's supposed to be running up there and doing a whole bunch of. Well, you're certainly not supposed to be putting military bases in the Arctic, right? And already this area is highly contested, and and all of those nations are beginning to close in on, have started to close in on the Arctic in commercial ways, but Russia has built a base, right? A military base, an army military base in the Arctic, and in addition to that, they have built this base up under Donald Trump's watch. Now, this offers a huge opportunity specifically for Andrew Yang, right? Now, what is the opportunity that he has, right? Well, it's really big. It's multi-layered. There's so much opportunity in this, right? So what he could do immediately is he can announce that he will be opening up a counterpart U.S. Army military base in the Arctic, right? As soon as he becomes president, first 100 days, right? Now, why would Andrew Yang do this, right? Already, all right, so many, I'm getting comments in my comment section, which I'm so thankful for. Thank you, everyone. And many of these people say, hey, this is super risky, and this is going to turn the Democrats away, right, from him. Right, so why would he do this? And I'm going to acknowledge now, many of the tactical opportunities I'm identifying for Andrew Yang to move on, these are risky, right? And the reason why is I believe now that Biden's in the mix, man, the DMC is just they're going to sit on their duffs and ride that establishment candidate to defeat. They think it's going to be a victory, but Biden is going to be a hard loss against. I think it'll be clear 3 months into the general election that Biden has already lost to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will absolutely wreck Biden. There's just no two ways about that, in my opinion. Biden doesn't have a chance. Especially now that I've seen him campaigning and seen the absolute, putting his arms back and taking the same, entitled position that we've seen other Democrat candidates take. Like, oh, this is on lock, everybody. Don't worry. I got it. Right? I don't see a lot of hustle out of Biden, and I think Donald Trump's just going to absolutely wreck him. Right? So the reality is, so Andrew Yang, he has to get more name recognition, right? And that's going to take risk. And I absolutely understand everybody's out there is like, no, he needs to be a faithful Democrat. He needs to, care about the things Democrats care about, right? And more, I'm thinking that is really not true. He does not need to serve Democrats to win the primary and win the general election. And you're like, wait, what? I can hear you now. You're like, what? Democrat candidates not cozying up to Democrats? Well, here, let me explain something real quick. Then I'm going to get back to the Russian, to Andrew Yang saying he's going to build a counterpart. Andrew Yang's opportunity to declare that he will build a counterpart U.S. Army military base in the Arctic specifically to counter northern Clover, which has already been built by the Russians, right? They're training soldiers with reindeers there. Like, it's like they are serious. And guess what? When Russia puts boots on the ground, they take that land, right? Just ask Crimea. It's already happened like this. And this isn't ancient history. This is like 2015, right? Russia does not mess around when it comes to boots on the ground on land they don't own, right? This is quite serious, right? All right, so why on earth would a Democrat take a strong hawk move like this, all right? So I'm going to explain it in gaming terms. I'm a huge tabletop gamer. I play three primary types of tabletop games. Collectible card games. I play a lot of Pokemon Go. I play Magic the Gathering. I'm sorry, not Pokemon Go. Pokemon collectible card game. And also I play Magic the Gathering, right? I also play Keyforge. All right, so in addition to that, I play a ton of board games. And then even more than those other two categories, I play tabletop role-playing games. Now, there's a friendly local game shop in my area who did something that absolutely fascinated me. All right, so that friendly local game shop had those three groups. They had those three groups that were coming into the shop, right? Now, the reality is the vast majority of the time in the shop, half to 3/4 of the people in the shop were Magic the Gathering players, right? Well, there was a point where the friendly local game shop shifted to giving benefits and really pursuing tabletop role-playing game players and board game players. Now, how did they do this, right? Well, they did it in three distinct ways. I remember this, I was there, right? And so I was playing in a Shadowrun game, and the GM's going, and, you know, all the players are there, and we're in this little special room that they gave just for board games and tabletop role-playing games. And we're 2 hours into a 4-hour game, and the friendly local game shop owner comes in and brings in a pepperoni pizza and a cheese pizza, and just puts it down and says, "I want to really thank you guys for, you know, buying your dice here, buying all your core rule books here, and for making this place filled with adventure." And I was like, "Holy crap! Wow, what?" You know, like, right? And then in addition to that, specifically for tabletop role players and for board gamers, right? For non-Magic the Gathering players, they also started to do store tournaments, like a Carcassonne store tournament with a prize, right? You could enter for free, but you got a prize at the end, right? And then also they started store leagues, right? Where they would bring you in, and like I remember one of them was, what was the game again? Splendor. They had a Splendor League, right? So it was a really good board game. I really liked it. They ran it for about 2 months. It was fantastic. And they organized the lead, and they just gave out these little ribbons. They were really cheap for them, but it was really nice to, you know, get this ribbon and say you're a winner, right? And it was fantastic. And as soon as all this started happening, about 3-4 weeks into it, the Magic players were going and saying, "Why don't you do nothing for us?" Right? And the owner would hem and haw, right? But he never really gave a straight answer, and I was fascinated how this was going to end. And about 3-4 months later, we knew how it ended, right? He continued to do exactly what I just said, right? And the reason why was he knew the Magic players weren't going anywhere. He had a very solid collection of singles. He always had the latest cards in hand. He had lots of tables to play for them to play at, and he hosted Friday Night Magic, which was not his event. That's a national event that goes on in virtually every FLGS friendly local game shop in the country, right? And so this guy realized he needed to reach out to the people who were least likely to come to the shop, because the Magic players were always there already, right? And the Magic players really disliked this, and they were very vocal about it. But their words said they were upset. Their feet said they weren't, because they kept coming, right? And the reality is he really didn't lose any traffic, right? In fact, what he did was about another year and a half, he opened up another shop across town, right? So he was doing great. It worked, right? Same thing with Yang. So here's the thing. I think what's going to happen is there are a ton of candidates right now. So the vast majority of candidates are already out of the race. Their numbers are never gonna materialize, right? There's some major movers and shakers like Biden, like Sanders, like Tulsi Gabbard, right? all three of them, in my opinion, they all have an Achilles heel, right? I think I know what it is. I think all of them are going to topple on their own, right? And I don't want to make this video about that specifically, right? But I really believe Andrew Yang doesn't need to do anything to defeat them. Other forces are going to defeat those candidates, right? So what he has to do is he has to make sure that he gets name recognition and he is ready to be the Democrat candidate. And here's the kicker, right? The Democrats, Andrew Yang really doesn't need to do anything to get Democrats to vote for him. And the reason why is that job is already done by Trump, okay? Andrew Yang does not need to do Trump's job. Trump works extremely hard at making sure every Democrat in this country is going to vote Democrat, right? What Yang has to do is he has to get Republicans to vote for him. The Dems will show up. And here's why. They already learned in 2016, you don't show up, for you as a Democrat, your world becomes a hellscape. So I don't think there's going to be any Dems who are willing to risk that again. The Dems are going to show up. And Andrew Yang doesn't need to do anything to get the Dems to show up. What he needs to do is he needs to capture Republicans. Guess what? You want to know how you capture Republicans? Set up a base in the U.S. Army infantry base in the Arctic, specifically to counter the military base that was built under Trump's watch, right? This is absolutely brilliant, right? So if Andrew Yang announces this, if he seizes this tactical opportunity, this is what he gains. One, every single news source on the planet is going to cover this, right? Even international ones, right? He's going to get them. They're all going to come to him, right? Right now, if Andrew Yang says, hey, I'd really like some more time on CNN, I'd really like some more time on Fox, I'd really like some more time on MSNBC, they're going to say, what you going to talk about? And he's going to go, oh, UBI, right? One, he's done a fantastic job of carrying the UBI banner, right? But they want something new, and this is new, right? And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect because he can attack Trump right now, right? He can come right out of the gate and say, Donald Trump has allowed this military, Russia has allowed Russian forces into the Arctic, and I plan to fix the defense gap that Donald Trump has created for our nation by making a counterpart U.S. Army base in the Arctic, right? And guess what? Any countries are like, oh, you can't do that. Sure we can. Russia already did. You as an international, community has already said it's okay to set up bases in the Arctic, right? So we absolutely can do it. It's going to be a counterpart. We didn't start this, right? This is just our counterpart base to make sure there ain't going to be Russian soldiers on reindeers taking over the Arctic, right? And this isn't a stretch of imagination. Russia took over Crimea less than 4 years ago, right? Like, that is super recent history, super recent, right? Now, so Yang actually comes out as a strong hawk, right? But not as a hawk that will get us into a war. This will not create a war. What it will do is it will allow Andrew Yang to declare, the reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to acknowledge that Russia is not our ally, all right? Now, the moment he says that, right, he's not saying Russia is our enemy. He's saying, I'm calling the lie. I'm calling truth to the lie, right? I'm not saying that Russia is our enemy. I'm saying they're not our ally. And that is going to be a siren song to tons of Republicans, right? Republicans have beef, serious beef with Russia. There isn't a Republican on this planet who has forgotten the Cold War, right? We all remember, we all know that Russia is not our ally, right? The only Republican, air quotes, that forgot this was Donald Trump. And frankly, I don't think he forgot it. In my opinion, I think he just wants a Trump Tower in Moscow at some point. And also, he's like super into the strongman tactics that Putin throws down, and that he wants to actually just kind of move that along. He wants to, actually move that whole thing forward, right? So I think that is the reason that he is actually taking these actions and doing these things, right? This is pretty fascinating, actually. But the Republicans, you're just going to restore the beef that every Republican already has in their heart for Russia, right? Now, how's that going to help you on the Democrat side, which, frankly, you don't need a whole lot of help there. But we should have some buy-in from the Democrat side if we're going to do something like this at the national level. Well, guess what? Just recently, just within the last 2 years, right, in the 1950s, all the Democrats were like, if you think Russia is our enemy and you think they're a dangerous country, that's crazy. We love the Russians. And anyone who says the Russians are bad, well, that's foolishness. And, and the Democrats really, just think about what the Democrats thought about McCarthy, right? Like, they were saying that in the 50s, right? The Democrats were saying that if you believed Russia was dangerous, that's just a boogeyman. They're our best friends, right? It's ridiculous, right? But guess what? 2016 and 2017 and 2018, the Democrats grew a very big beef with Russia, right? Russia's been all over the lips of how dangerous that nation is from every Democrat who has a Twitter account, right? Like they're, it's a collusion and trying to take over our country through Facebook posts, right? So the Democrats have a very real, very recent beef with Russia. You can sell, countering Russia as they come forward, because every Democrat now, unlike the 1950s, fully understands the danger of Russia. They've just woken up to it. Oh my goodness, look, Russia's a terrible country Russia is, I shouldn't say they're a terrible country, let's back that up. Russia is absolutely not our ally. Russia absolutely will take land if they put boots on the ground there. And so we need to, they're not a terrible country. They are a dangerous country, and they are more dangerous to America than any other country. They have already shown, like with Crimea, that they absolutely will take land. And America can absolutely not allow them to take another inch of the Arctic, right? So this is a huge tactical opportunity for Andrew Yang. It simultaneously slams in a huge amount of name recognition, as every news source is going to cover this. It simultaneously brings a whole bunch of Republican hawks over, right, who are like, yeah, new bases, bet, let's do it, right? I'm in. Trust me, Republicans are super good with new U.S. bases, right, in places we don't have bases there yet, right? Republicans are also super interested in countering Russia, super interested, right? And then last, right, the Democrats will come along with this also because they have just recently opened their eyes to the danger of Russia, right? So the idea of countering them in a real world way should be really comfortable for the Democrats at this point, because they see them for the first time in decades as an actual threat, right? So I really feel like this is just a slam dunk opportunity. It is a point in time maneuver that can be taken by Andrew Yang. Also, I am really starting to, and so this, I'll save that for another video. But actually, I think this is really a huge opportunity for him to move forward on. It just absolutely lances Trump, right? Trump's absolutely horrible allyship with a country who is not our ally, who treated Crimea in the worst possible way, and who have proven themselves to be military aggressors. It is unconscionable what the position that Donald Trump has put us in. And so Andrew Yang being able to just absolutely call him out for that problem is a huge opportunity. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.